We're talking Ball State, Don Shondell and Ray McCallum talking Ball State, Nate Davis and Bonzi Wells, Schumann, Bell Tower and Worthen, Fans Oliver from Muncie to Berlin, getting Cannons, Carters and Greeks.
All right, everyone out there in Cardinal land, welcome to another live edition of Ball State of the Union, your number one Ball State football podcast by the fans, for the fans. We're talking current headlines, exclusive interviews with Cardinal athletes and coaches, and fun off-the-wall debates that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to us on all of your favorite social media platforms. And as always, when you hear that song and you hear that voice, we're going to be talking Ball State. I am John, your host, as always, joined tonight by my good friend Colin from Ball State Football Talk and the one, the only, the Ball State Football Hall of Famer, Mr. Willie Snead. Boys, got a little bit of a late start here tonight. And for the fans out there watching, let's give you an insight as to what's going on here. So as you see by the thumbnail, by the title, everything, we were expecting Grammy-nominated artist, former Ball State Cardinal, Mr. Freddie Gibbs, to join us tonight. He had a little bit of some travel delays. He had a little flight he was trying to get through. Is going to be later than we thought, and it was going to keep getting later and later. That's why we didn't start right at 8:30, and we were waiting to kind of hear back from him. And so what we're going to do is he's not going to be able to make it tonight just because it's going to get really late. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., so if you're here to see Freddie Gibbs, tomorrow at 2 p.m., we're going to go live. We have him rescheduled for tomorrow. But we figured we announced this everything tonight, so we figured we'd get on and chat for a little bit anyway. So if anyone wants to stick around, and we're going to just kind of talk about college football in general and kind of the state of where we're at. So we apologize for not having Freddie on here tonight, but again, tomorrow at 2 p.m., we'll be there. We'll be live. We'll be everywhere with that interview. So, Colin, I know you've been working hard on this. I know you've been kind of stressed about it, making sure it's going to go perfect, but you got one more night to deal with the stress here.
Yeah, I'm just excited. I mean, Freddie Gibbs, one of my favorite musicians, and then, just his connection to Ball State. I think it's super intriguing. Not a lot of information out there. You can try to type in and research on Google right now, like what high school did he play for? What were his stats? What kind of wide receiver was he? Like, none of that information is really readily available. So that's something we're looking to kind of flesh out. And I'm just excited to have Freddie here tomorrow. It's going to be a great episode.
Now, Willie, I don't mean this is not meant to demean you. This is not meant to put you down. You're usually the most famous person on this show, and tomorrow you might not be.
For our guest, I think I'll be okay with that. It's like this is somebody I had no idea that went to Ball State, and he has accomplished so much in his career and in his life. It's just going to be interesting. I might be a little starstruck myself, which doesn't happen too often, but really excited about this interview tomorrow. It's unfortunate it couldn't be tonight, but you know how things go. Some things come out of nowhere, and we got to roll with it. So Freddie was gracious enough to get on with us tomorrow, and we'll definitely have a great episode for you guys tomorrow. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, exactly. So again, if you're looking for Freddie Gibbs tonight, I know we're all looking forward to it. It'll be now tomorrow at 2 p.m. We'll be live again tomorrow at 2 p.m. So if you got any questions for Freddie, you want to get in, we'll answer them. We'll ask him tomorrow. But we figured since we announced the show tonight, and we had been kind of riffing back and forth before we went live, we were just kind of shooting it, talking about college football, talking about things in general. So we figured we'd just go live for half hour, so maybe a little shorter episode tonight since we're still going to go live tomorrow. So boys, it's an open book here. I know it's things are tough in the streets here for a group of 5 teams right now after yesterday and the state of everyone wanting us gone now. Where do you guys want to start with the state of college football? Colin, Willie, do either of you have a strong take on where things are right now and maybe what you want to see fixed?
Just talk about the college football in general, or we like playoffs specifically?
Wherever you want to start. It's pretty open-ended here. And if any of the fans out there listening right now, I know there's a handful of people listening. If you want to hear us talk about anything college football-wise, or you want to get takes off, throw them in there, and we will read them all throughout the show or at the end of the show. But yeah, Willie, wherever you want to start, whatever you think is the most pressing thing here.
Well, I'll just bring up the games that went on this weekend. Miami had a really solid performance against Texas A&M, going into that hostile environment, playing the 12th man. It's games like that make the playoffs, exciting and worth it, right? And then we fast forward to the Tulane going against Ole Miss, which was kind of like, very lopsided in the beginning. We weren't really sure how Ole Miss was going to play, losing Lane Kiffin to LSU, and how those guys were going to respond with the new head coach, and just all the media narratives that were surrounding that team the past couple weeks. But they came out and did exactly what we expected them to do. And Tulane, they're a tough team. They had a great season. I think they went 11-2. They won their conference championship a couple of weeks ago. So they deserved the right to get into the playoffs. And then we talk about JMU. They struggled big time against Oregon, which a lot of teams do. Oregon is a formidable opponent. They've been ranked for a long time. Their program has been historically good for a long time. So for JMU to go in there and at least try to be competitive, that says a lot about that program as well, because that JMU team was not in D1 football like 3 years ago, right? They had just broken into the D1 level. Shout out to my boy Toddy Centeo. He was the quarterback 3 years ago when JMU did make that transition, and they were good then. They went. I think they lost 1 or 2 games that year coming into the FBS. So they are also a strong program, and they're losing their head coach to UCLA as well. So when we talk about these G5 teams, when we talk about these teams who get into the playoffs, and if we're comparing apples to apples, those teams, honestly, they're not strong enough to compete with those type of teams, unfortunately. And that's just where it's at nowadays, and it's been like that for years. I mean, we talk about the transfer portal, making a big impact, but we can go back 10 plus years, and I don't believe I don't believe Tulane is beating Ole Miss 10 years from now. When the transfer portal wasn't around, and when guys weren't just going to different teams every single year and transferring out. It's like, I think that right there is just it just speaks a lot to that program, and obviously, we want to see, it to be competitive. I know Notre Dame fans is probably screaming right now because they probably thought that they should have been through over Tulane and JMU, but honestly, like, those teams competed all year and they earned the right to be in that playoff game. And yes, it went the way it did. Can people predict that? Probably, but I think the format does need to change. I think they should expand it to like 16 teams, just to continue to allow teams to be in that position to get into the playoffs. I don't think it's perfect right now, Colin. I don't believe the way they have it. It still needs to improve. And we could talk about a whole bunch of things of what needs to be fixed. But I think just overall, this weekend of football was awesome. It's exciting to know that the playoffs are here. It started. And, we're going to have some great games coming up these next couple of weeks. I know I'm excited to see Miami play Ohio State. That could be a one-sided affair too. But that's why they play the game. And I think Texas Tech and Oregon is going to be a hell of a game. 2 powerhouse programs with 2 explosive offenses. What was the 4th game that was played this weekend? It was
Alabama
on Friday. Yeah, and I think, honestly, I thought Oklahoma was going to get it done. I got a lot of Alabama homies, but I just did not think Alabama had enough juice, and they got it done, man. So overall, I think it was a great weekend of football. By any means, I don't think the format is perfect, and it does need improvement. But the fact that they've expanded it to 12 teams, I would expect them to continue to do it until they make it perfect, right? Because I don't think 12 is enough. I don't even think 16 is enough. I think they should expand it to where, they get enough teams in to where, it could be anybody's show, right? Because, when you get to 4, it's like, it could be this team. But it's like, when you bring in more teams, I think it makes it better for the fans. And then obviously, you get these teams that don't really get recognition like that to be able to sneak into the playoffs and be able to get that coverage, that media coverage, and also get that exposure, because these teams are competing with these Power 4 schools. And, the only way they can do that is if they're being seen on media, like coverage wise, playing in these big games, playing in the playoffs, because that attracts players, because they want to play in these big games. And if they see a Tulane or a North Texas or a JMU get into the playoffs, it's like, man, that helps with recruiting as well. So I think it obviously needs to get better, guys, but in no way, shape, or form do I think it's perfect.
Oh yeah, I think the whole state of college football in general is pretty far from perfect right now. I'll let Colin kind of get some takes off here before I kind of explode. I'm usually a pretty mild mannered guy. I think these two would both agree, and these people online have been driving me crazy the last 24 hours. So Colin, same question to you, kind of thoughts on really anything, playoff, state of college football in general. Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm coming from a little bit of a different angle than Willie is here. I think Willie is more of a fan of college football just in general. I'm more of a fan of Ball State and then the group of 5 after that. And I think right now we're seeing a lot of people attack the group of 5. And unfortunately, I think they're going to do something that separates, that P4, those teams from the group of 5 teams. And then you'll touch on this a little bit, John, but we were speaking about this before the pod, and these teams in the Big 12 and the ACC that are kind of cheerleading this separation from the group of 5, they're the next ones on the chopping block. Like, if you're a Wake Forest fan and you're cheering what's going on with the group of 5 and with people like Josh Pate saying stuff like, this is a disservice to college football, etc. They don't think that the group of 5 should have teams in the playoffs. I think that's really dangerous, because it's not only just going to be group of 5. Eventually, it's going to be those bottom tier, ACC teams, those bottom tier Big 12 teams that eventually get cut. And I just don't want to see that for the sport. Even if there has to be something like, Max Sports Connections had this kind of relegation system, kind of like the Premier League, with English soccer. But there has to be avenues for teams to be able to compete for, the playoffs. Even if for Ball State, it's very, very, very unlikely that we ever get in the playoffs. Just the chance of it being possible is enough for me, and I just don't want to see that separation. And that's what's on my mind, really, John, lately, is just they're trying to make another FCS, and I'm watching it happen in real time. There's this special interest, the ESPN shills, the talking heads on ESPN getting paid money, by the SEC because they have these TV contracts. Even the Fox Sports guys, with the Big Ten, they're kind of dabbling in it a little bit to a lesser degree. What we really need is all the group of 5 people to come together. Conference USA, Sun Belt, MAC, American, Pac-12, you're part of us now. Mountain West, it does not matter. Everybody needs to come together and fight this, because if we don't, they're going to steamroll us, and then they're going to, there was a post on the Max Sports Connection that was like, someone posted like, oh, Illinois State is beating Montana or whoever it was. And someone replied and was like, in all caps, they're like, we do not care. That's what they wanted. That's what they're going to do to the group of 5. And if we don't fight it now, it's on its way. It's on its way, John. That's what's been on my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't know that there's really much. We can fight this as much as we want. I don't think there's really much anybody can do here. They're going to win out in the end. It's just kind of how long we want to prolong this. But this last 24 hours, I don't think anyone who's a group of 5 fan had any real plans or dreams of grandeur that either of these teams are going to win yesterday. And I think we can all agree that there probably should not have been 2 group of 5 teams in this yesterday. I think we can all agree to that. There was a loophole in this system. I'm not begrudging Tulane, or I guess James Madison is the one who got in kind of more through the loophole thing with the ACC. I'm not begrudging them for getting in. If Ball State got in, I would be pumped. I'd be excited too. But I don't think that necessarily 2 teams should have got in here. I think that kind of goes against the nature of what this whole tournament is. But also, I think it goes against the nature of just trying to completely kick everybody out, which is what they're trying to do. Colin said it perfectly. Who are the loudest people you're hearing this from? The people who are employed from ESPN, the people who are employed by Fox. Who's on ESPN and Fox? The Big Ten and the SEC. Okay, great. We get it. It's the thing that's making me so mad, and just that's, we're just going to kick the solution to everything in college football's problems right now in those guys' minds is, well, we got to get these group of 5 teams out of here. I was inconvenienced and watched 2 bad games this weekend of the whole entire season. I watched 2 games I didn't like because the group of 5 is in this. Not mentioning at all that for the past 3 or 4 years now, there's been unchecked, unregulated transfer portals that people can just poach your entire team. They've always done that with coaches, but now they can do it with your team. Unregulated NIL, these conferences that got so big that now the ACC has these crazy tiebreakers that this whole thing started. If James Madison had not got in yesterday and it was only Tulane, I don't think we really would have heard a peep about this. I think you would have heard Notre Dame fans and you would have heard Texas fans whining, which, Colin, I know you're kind of quasi Notre Dame fan, but Notre Dame and Texas fans are some of the whinier people there are to begin with. And then they were slighted here, or they think they were slighted here. If we just had the one G5 team, I don't think this would have been as big of a deal. But since there's 2 of them in there, and there's all these things that happen, and now their thought is, oh, well, if we just get rid of these guys, this problem's solved. Okay, well, what happens if they put Vanderbilt in there yesterday? And what happens if Vanderbilt gets killed yesterday? It's just going to keep trickling down. Guys, I know everyone wants more teams in here, and I think that's the answer for the group of 5. If we want the best set of teams in here, I think it should be 8 teams. That seems like the perfect number in terms of if you want the best teams in the playoff, we got the best. These first 4 rounds, these first 4 games, for the most part, were not very good. These next round of games, these 8 teams, these all look awesome. I'm on board with these games. So we have to, I think, as a group of everybody, decide what the goal is here. Is the goal to get the best teams into the playoff, or is the goal to have all of college football included like it's been forever? And so that's kind of where I'm at. And just the fact that they just think, if we just shoo the group of 5 away, all the problems will be solved. The problems are much bigger than that. And the reason that these problems with the group of 5 are getting so exasperated now is because they're just unchecked issues that have been going on for years now. And I'm a lot more tame than I was earlier today. But, Colin, I know you had a couple points there.
Yeah. My thing is, you said if we want the best teams, I don't think I want the best teams. I want the most deserving teams.
That's fine.
The problem is we're giving this like subjective kind of, I want the best teams. And so this committee, this kind of like shady enterprise run by the Arkansas athletic director who's getting money from a bunch of SEC teams being in there, they make these decisions. They're like, who's the best team? Like, we're going to figure it out unbiased, but really knowing that like we get a cut of the pie when there's a bunch of SEC teams in there. So we're even going to have 2 SEC teams play each other to make sure an SEC teams goes to the second round so we can get more money, get a little cut from that. No, what needs to happen is it's not subjective anymore. There needs to be auto bids. Like, I don't want any committee, period. I want to know who goes in by like a tiebreaker sort of setup. Like, okay, SEC gets 3 teams, Big Ten gets 3 teams, ACC gets 2 teams, Big 12 gets 2 teams, 1 independent, 3 group of 6, or like the 3 best group of 6, something like that. So maybe a little bit of subjectivity there, or maybe all the group of 6 get an auto bid, but no more subjectivity. The best teams. It's not the best teams. This is horse crap. They're picking the teams.
Is the best teams when we're talking about each conference, though. Like,
it's not the best teams.
Like
Notre Dame would be in there.
Notre Dame is not in the conference. They don't have a right to be in the playoffs if they get caught in a situation where it is a tiebreaker and they lost to a team that they played in the beginning of the year. Like, why should they get a chance to be in the playoffs when they had a moment where they could have won and they could have
They
been.
would smack
They could have been in the
any of
playoffs.
these teams this week, and they would have smacked them. I know they lost to Miami. I know they lost to Texas A&M, but they gave Alabama 4 shots at it. And you know when teams play teams like from the
Alabama's
beginning of the
schedule
year
is so
and
much
they
tougher than
lose.
Notre Dame's, though. You can't even compare that. You can't even compare the two. Look at Notre Dame.
Notre
Who they
Dame's
play.
better than Alabama.
Look at who Notre Dame plays, and look at who Oklahoma plays, or Alabama, or even Miami. You know what I'm saying? Like Notre Dame's schedule is soft. So if you have a soft schedule, like the chance of you getting in the playoffs are a lot more difficult versus a SEC team who is playing in a competitive game every single week.
No. Did you look at Texas A&M's schedule? It was not hard. That schedule was soft. That schedule was soft as hell. They
Comparing
don't.
the two,
The SEC. The
No.
SEC is top heavy. The
No.
SEC is top heavy. I'm not scared of the SEC. They're not good. Oregon
Notre
is
Dame
better.
is scared of the
Ohio
SEC,
State is
bro.
better. IU is better. Big Ten is killing the SEC. The SEC has like 4 teams that are actually good. The rest of them are dog water. They beat up on the weak teams, and then they lose against the good teams, and then now everybody's like, oh, the SEC is the best conference because the ESPN pushes it and pushes it and pushes it.
They're
Don't
the
believe
best.
the hype.
They're the best conference because they got the best teams, dude. Like how
No,
many?
they don't.
How many?
They
How many
don't.
SEC teams are in the
They don't.
playoff?
When's the last time the SEC won a championship?
What do you mean? In the
Pretty
past
good.
It's been
10
some
years?
years.
In
It's
the
Big
past
Ten.
10 years?
It's
Three
been
years
Big
ago?
Ten.
Huh?
In the past
I'm
10
just telling you, they're
years,
not the
Yeah.
same. Ever since everybody can pay teams, the SEC is not the same. They're not like that much. There's
That
like
is
a couple
true.
teams at the top. They're not the
Mhm.
same. They're not the same as it used to be. Big Ten is killing them. I'm telling you.
no,
The
they're
winner
not,
of the
bro.
it's going to be the Big Ten
Purdue is
again.
not being Ole Miss. Purdue is not being Ole Miss.
You just picked the worst team out of the Big Ten in a mid-level.
Minnesota's not beating Vanderbilt. Like, come on, dude.
They're not on the same level. You need to compare like Iowa and Vanderbilt,
about-
who's about to play.
Who?
Iowa and Vanderbilt are about to play. Those are more comparable. You're picking like a lower
Iowa-
Big Ten team and a
oh.
higher SEC.
And you think Iowa is better than Vanderbilt?
I think it's comparable.
No,
I think it's
that didn't
comparable.
answer my question. Do you think Iowa is better than Vanderbilt?
I think probably not. But I think the
Come
fourth
on, man.
best Big Ten team is better than Vanderbilt.
I think
Let's see. Texas A&M played.
USC
Here's
is
the
better than
toughest schedule
Vanderbilt.
they
I'd say
played,
that.
bro. They played LSU. They played South Carolina. They played Missouri. They played Arkansas. They played Auburn.
Missouri
They
didn't beat
played
anybody.
Notre Dame.
Auburn's trash.
And they played USC. Oh, not USC. They played Utah State.
boys, the comments are popping right now.
And then they
Let 'em
just
go. Let 'em
lost.
fly in here.
And they played Texas too. And they
I
lost.
think there has been a shift. I think Colin, I don't know if he meant for this to be as good of a point as he made, but there is something to be said at the SEC's utter dominance they had for a long time over the sport and how fast the Big Ten has caught up now that they can all pay players.
Well, I mean, it's like that for everybody. Look at Texas saying, look at Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Like Texas
for
Tech
sure.
is like they would have never been able to compete 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But now they can because they got a truckload of money that they could pay players from SEC teams, from Big Ten teams. Like, I agree with you. Like, it's different now because you can play players as much as you want to, right? That's what makes teams more competitive. But that does not mean the SEC has dropped because of that.
Mm-mm.
Like, the SEC is still the creme de la creme, and the Big Ten is up there with them. And I'm not saying that like it's just like SEC is yards, but they are the best conference in college football.
I would agree with you that they are the best conference top to bottom overall. I think they are personally. I think the Big Ten has better teams at the top now than the SEC does. I think Georgia is very good. I think the rest of the SEC, the top teams are okay. Alabama is a weird team to me. Here's my thought on Alabama, Colin. Don't shake your head at me. I'm not saying that I think they're a great team because they obviously have a low floor. They have a high ceiling. Now, does that mean that like Indiana's not going to kill them? Indiana might kill them, but I think we're crazy if we get through the Rose Bowl and Alabama somehow wins that game. I don't know how shocked anybody's going to be.
Oh, a lot of people are going to be shocked because Bama's not that good this year compared to other years. And IU's been the best that they ever been. And a lot of people probably have them playing Ohio State in the championship. So if somehow Bama does win that game, like I think that's gonna mess up everybody's bracket who put in a one of those brackets this year. Like, and that just proves my point even more, Colin. Like the SEC is built different every single year. Like they get guys that a lot of teams don't get, and I'm talking about the trenches. You know what I'm saying? Those big suckers up front, like it's different. And I think the Big Ten can compete now because they do get those guys, and they've had those guys for years. But now they got speed. Like the Big Ten has always had big guys up front. They can run the ball. They want to play up north football, right? But back in the day, like they could not run with teams in the SEC. They couldn't. And you might get a Michigan every now and then that has pride, and they beat. I forgot who they beat in a bowl game. I think it was
Alabama last year. Actually. Michigan just beat Alabama last year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Now, but I'm talking about back then when they couldn't run with those guys. It's different now. Like you said, Colin, you made a great point. Like they could pay for players, fast guys to come from Florida all the way up to Michigan, right? Those 5-star kids that they probably wouldn't have got if they got offered in their backyard, right? It's different now, man. It's that the transfer portal and NIL has done so much for football just in the past 3 years. Now they have to be able to put some barriers in place to where it's like you can't you can take advantage of it at this point, right? Like you can take advantage and be in a situation where like it's going to be hard for you to lose, like because you either re-upping every year on the transfer portal or you're paying a kid millions of dollars to come play for your program. Like that was unheard of years ago, or at least it was frowned upon years ago. Like they had to go through the back door. Now you can come in the front door with that money now. So
right. I stand by the statement that Notre Dame would beat any of the teams that played this weekend right now. I know they lost to Texas A&M on like the extra point, got fumbled, and they lost by 1. I know they lost to Miami by 3. Notre Dame right now would beat any of the teams that played this weekend. I really feel strongly about that. That's why I'm saying they did not have the best teams in there. The best teams to them was Arkansas's AD saying, "Who's going to help us get some money here?" Like that's what it came down to me.
I got
something about the Arizona guy.
Say what?
You talking about the Arizona State coach that said that?
No, so basically what's going on is when you make the college playoffs and you play in the playoffs, you get some of the money that the TV deal makes off of you playing in that game, but so does the conference. And that's why people were so mad at Notre Dame, because they made it all the way to the national championship last year, and every time they got paid, they kept 100% of it because there was no conferences. So that's part of the reason why they're like, oh, we don't want them to get more money, blah, blah, blah. But the last team to beat IU, Notre Dame. Who beat Georgia last year in the playoffs? Notre Dame. So all this SEC is so much better than these teams. It's horse crap. I don't believe that, man. The SEC has ESPN pumping them. That's what it is.
Y'all on the outside looking in because y'all want to be independent and make all that money.
So that was
in the conference.
That was going to be my next question.
You guys would be in. Period.
That was going to be my next question. I was trying to find there was a chat in here I want to get to because there's people throwing a bunch of stuff out here, and I'm going to get to all over here in a minute. But I'm trying to find it because it was pretty funny, but I can't find it now.
And you can make that case. You can make that argument for so many teams that got left out, like Texas, Vanderbilt. You know what I'm saying? Even I don't want to bring up that team, but you know what I'm saying? It's just those two teams. Even BYU, like they were in the top 10 for the longest, and they lost to Texas Tech twice. That's the only team they lost to.
Yeah.
Texas Tech. Like they could even make a bid for that. You know what I'm saying? You can make that case for anybody, but I think Notre Dame, the fact that they're independent, right, and they lost the best 2 games on their schedule, like they forfeited themselves at that point, right? Because if they beat Miami, they're in. Mm-hmm. No question about it.
All right. So here was a comment I got about Notre Dame, and that's want to bring this back to them here because there's an interesting question. So Someone over on YouTube, Owen Fouts. Owen and another guy in here are putting a lot of stuff up, so we'll get all their stuff. But I wanted to get to his first. Guy on the right might be more than just a closeted Notre Dame fan. Is what he's saying.
I live in South Bend, just so he knows. I'm not a Notre Dame fan. I'm a Ball State fan, but I live in South Bend. So that's what it is.
So my question to you guys is, and I'll start with you first, Willie, and then Colin, I'll go to you.
Okay.
With them being left out of the playoff this year, how they were, no matter how you feel about it one way or the other, is this going to end up forcing Notre Dame's hand into joining a conference, or are they going to keep their independence forever?
I don't think they're going to join a conference, honestly, because they're making too much money outside of it, and they got they got their own TV deal. They've had that for years with NBC. I honestly believe that they just have to win the games that they're supposed to win, and they have to win the games that, like Miami and Texas A&M, like when you're independent, those games matter the most. Right, it's different if you're in conference with those guys. Like if they were in the ACC, right, they would have been able to have an opportunity to play for the ACC championship, and they would probably be in. But I don't think they're going to change, John. I think they're going to keep it the same. But obviously, they're going to put a little more. They got to put more emphasis on winning those games that they have to win. Right, they can't afford to lose those games. They have to, like, Notre Dame has to be undefeated every single year to make the playoffs. That's what it is. And the years that they made the playoffs, I believe, well, it's only been a couple of years, but the last year they were undefeated, right, Colin?
No, they lost to NIU last year.
So that was the only loss.
And then we beat NIU. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So, like, the fact that loss was against a pretty good IU team, who obviously they're not the same IU team as this year, right? But they only had that one loss, and it was to IU. So, it's different from this year. They lost to two teams that were top 10 teams, and those teams are in the playoffs. It's a different scenario, but I don't think they change. I just think they got to go undefeated every year or lose one game.
All right, Colin, your stance.
Yeah, John, as a South Bend resident here, I'll let you know it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. They're never going to join a conference. They shouldn't join a conference. There's enough like history and legacy, and like they really like people here really believe in that, and you got the Newt Rockney stuff, you got the Rudy movie, you got like people here in South Bend, like they just believe Notre Dame's different. And he's right, there's too much money at stake. Peacock is already giving us bread. When we play the ACC, it was like some stat, like I want to say it was like 20-something% of the time, it might be like 30-something% of the time, ACC games sell out. So not a ton. Yeah. When Notre Dame plays an ACC team, they sell out 90% of the time. So that just kind of tells you, like, they bring the money. People travel to go see Notre Dame. People come from out of town to go see Notre Dame. When you're driving around the city and Notre Dame's not playing, there's no traffic. When Notre Dame is playing, traffic moves like it's Chicago. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's completely different vibe. Like, they shouldn't join a conference, and they won't.
So let me play devil's advocate here. I don't really care one way or the other. Like, if they can do their thing on their own, then go ahead. My two counter arguments to that would be, all I've heard from the two of you for the most part is they're making so much money. Well, if that seems to be all you care about, then why does it matter that you didn't make the playoff this year? You still got all that money. That didn't change. So you still got all the money that you wanted. I don't know why fans would care about that personally in terms of just getting money for that. I'd rather make the playoff personally, number one. Right. Number two, everyone is just kind of doing their own thing, and the rules and change on the fly, and everyone does what they want. What's stopping the Big Ten and SEC and Big 12 from saying, we're just not going to schedule Notre Dame anymore?
Money.
Why? They could just schedule each other. Notre Dame's one team.
I just told you when the ACC plays each other, they sell out 30% of the time. When they play Notre Dame, they sell out 90% of the time. And while fans don't care about money, that's all the school cares about is money. You see what I'm saying? So they're not going to, even though fans might feel like pompous or they might feel some sort of way, like, then we're just not going to play Notre Dame. The AD doesn't feel that way, brother. Like, I'm telling you, the AD wants that money Notre Dame's going to put in your pocket.
Right.
I don't. That one game every 2 years. I could just see them just saying, "Nah, we don't need to do it anymore." Because if you guys if they can just go do everything on their own, then they're just going to tell them to go do it on their own at some point. Because at some point, people are going to have to draw these lines in the sands, and Notre Dame's either get on one or not, and it's just going to work out how it works out. I mean, I don't really care at the end of the day what they do. I'm not a Notre Dame fan. I'm not a Notre Dame hater. They can do whatever they want. But I think Notre Dame people are naive to think that they all can't just get together at some point and say, well, we're just not going to schedule anymore. You go play teams in the MAC, go play teams in the Mountain West, and, be done with it.
Yeah, they're not going to do that. I mean, it's wishful thinking for, like, Notre Dame haters, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard.
And
everyone told us for 100 years athletes are never going to get paid, and look at this now.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, too. This is the first week of the playoffs, and we're talking about the playoffs, and we spent more time on Notre Dame than any of the other teams. And that's the same for what's been going on in social media. Notre Dame drives numbers. People love them or people hate them. And so what's going on here on the pod is the same thing that's happening, online, in these back rooms, like conversations they're having. So it is what it is, but Notre Dame is a needle mover.
I hate to break this to you, person who's not a Notre Dame fan. The chatter this weekend was people making fun of Notre Dame fans because all they kept saying was we would beat everybody, and the two teams that they were saying that in were the two teams they lost to. That's why they were everyone's talking about it.
Brother, I just explained. When at the beginning of the season a team plays, and then they play again later in the season, the result is often not the same. Like, I think Oklahoma beat Alabama early in the season. So you acting like they're not going to beat them later is ridiculous. Notre Dame right now is better than Miami and is better than Texas A&M. If they played this weekend, Notre Dame would have throttled those boys. I'm telling you, would have throttled them.
No.
Yes.
No.
For someone who hates the SEC so much, you are certainly turning it into one with hypothetical wins.
Very hypothetical, bro. You going off of the Oklahoma-Alabama game? Oklahoma should have won that game, if we're being honest.
Bro, I'm just telling you, in general, the result changes. That's
what
I'm saying.
That doesn't mean you guys automatically going to win because you guys are playing them late in the season.
I didn't say we were automatically going to win. Throttle these boys.
Okay, I'm just making sure you're saying that. But that's the same thing. Throttle somebody? No, bro. Y'all didn't even throttle Miami the first time.
Automatic win. I'm not saying they still got to play the game, but they are beating Texas A&M and beating Miami right now.
No,
right now.
Maybe I might give you Texas A&M. I might give you Texas A&M, but Miami, no, bro.
Right.
All right, let's leave Notre Dame in the past.
I can't give you that one, bro.
All right. What else we got? Okay, let's look at the rest of the tournament here. 8 teams left. Who do you guys got winning it all at this point? What teams can win it all at this point?
Oh man, let's just talk about the games this week. Let's talk about the games.
All right, Willie, I'll start with you. Go ahead.
I'll start with you, John. Which one is your favorite game to watch out of the 4 that's coming up?
Okay, let's think. So we got Indiana, Alabama. We got Ohio State and Miami.
Yep.
We have Georgia and Ole Miss, and we have Texas Tech and Oregon. Mm-hmm. I would say the most interesting matchup to me that I want to see is Texas Tech and Oregon. I think Texas Tech is a big wild card here. I think for the most part, we kind of know what we got in Indiana. We know what we got in Ohio State. And Colin might not agree with me, but I think we know what we have in Georgia. I think those are 3 really, really good teams who can easily win this all. And I think Texas Tech is kind of the wild card here.
Yeah.
Can they? They're going to play a good team in Oregon. I don't necessarily think Oregon can win the national championship. Maybe one of you guys do. But if Texas Tech comes out and puts it to Oregon here, I think they're going to put everyone on the map here. They're kind of just stuck with whoever they're playing. Mm. But Texas Tech and Oregon is the one that I'm the most interested in. I think I'm the least interested in Ohio State, Miami. And really? The other 2 games I'm fairly interested in as well, but that's kind of where I'm sitting. I think Oregon and Texas Tech is the most telling game here to see if we have another true contender here.
For sure. I think for me, John, Colin, I think The game I'm looking forward to the most is actually the one you think is least interesting, is the Miami Ohio State game.
Mm-hmm.
I like this game because one, it's a rematch from years ago in 2002 when Ohio State beat Miami in the national championship. But I also think Miami is. I think they're on a mission. Now, I'm not saying Ohio State's not on a mission, but I think Miami is in a position where everybody is doubting them. But if they're able to pull off this win, I think, I don't want to say they become the favorites, but I think they're in position to really just win the whole thing. Because you can't say that right now, but I think we all can agree that Ohio State is probably the team that will win it all. Just from last year and just how they're built this year, even though they lost to IU, which, there was some questionable offensive calls in that game, which, I don't agree with, which in the end, sealed their fate. But I am looking forward to the Miami game, Ohio State, because I'm really just interested to see how Miami comes out the gate. Because Miami's got all the talent in the world. Now, the only thing that scares me is Carson Beck. Carson Beck has been very inconsistent, especially in these big games. Like, against Texas A&M, like he wasn't on. Now, I don't know if it was the play calling or if it was just him not being able to, make the throws. And they've been off for a while. Like, Miami didn't play for like 2-3 weeks. So that rust was there. But, I'm really interested to see, represent, South Florida. We beat Texas, right? Florida, Texas. It's always going to be Florida. No question about that. So now it's Florida against Ohio, right? Ohio football has always been strong. And we already know what Florida football is all about. So I think it's just going to be a great matchup rivalry wise. Like, this is a like a low key rivalry, right? Mm-hmm. Just to date back from, when they played it back in 2002, when they had those Hurricanes and then they had Ohio State tag in all them boys. Like, this game is going to be fun and I'm looking forward to it. But I think if Carson Beck comes to play and Miami's defense is strong and solid up front, I think this could be the most exciting game of the weekend.
Now, Colin, before we go to you, I have one question I wanted to ask. So, Ohio State, Miami are playing in Dallas. Oregon and Texas Tech are playing in Miami. Should you be able to trade locations for games? Because it would be way better if Miami and Ohio State was in Florida and if Texas Tech and Oregon was in Texas. Now, I'm sure Ohio State would not like that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, Oregon. Well, I guess no, Texas Tech is the higher seed. I think that'd be sweet because I don't really like these neutral site games. I would love the on-campus ones. I think it'd be fun if you could just switch. Like, what does it matter if what does it matter who plays in these games right now? I think it'd be better this way. So, Colin,
I don't know if they could switch, but I feel what you're saying though. That makes sense. I don't even know how they pick like the actual bowl game for that specific matchup.
I think the highest seed gets the first pick. And then it kind of goes from there for the 4, I think. And that's how it used to be. But,
right.
Colin, what are your read on these games this weekend? What are you looking forward to?
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but since Willie came at my hometown team, I'm going to come at Miami. They're about to get busted against Ohio State. I mean, like, train, steamroll. This is going to be the worst game of the weekend. The best game is the game John already mentioned, Oregon versus Texas Tech. Worst game will be Miami, Ohio State. I see Carson Beck getting exposed. He already didn't look great in the last game. But yeah, how I see the Final Four going is IU, Ohio State, Texas Tech, Oregon. I don't even really know. I don't really have.
I don't think we have a good. I don't think we have a very strong feel on Texas Tech. I think they're pretty good. But I think just who they played this year, we don't really know yet. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean that they're not a great team. They very well could be. That's why I'm excited to see them play another pretty good team in Oregon. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right. I have no idea how that game's going to go. And then the SEC, they got to have their 2 in there again so they get another guy into the next round. But I see Georgia beating Ole Miss. So it'll be, Georgia, IU, Ohio State, and then whoever wins, Oregon or Texas Tech. So that's how I see the Final Four playing out.
Yes, I mean there's a strong possibility you're sitting here with either 2-2 Big Ten and SEC or 3-1 Big Ten really to the SEC, or even I guess again the Big 12 can get in there. I'm not saying that they have no chance here. I kind of side with Colin a little bit. I did not really see Miami winning this weekend.
Really, well, that's what Notre Dame fans want because
there you go.
They feel like they should have got in over Miami, even though they didn't beat them when it mattered. So
hey, that's the best part. That's the best part about college. That's the best part about college football. Well, there's not a lot of things that are great, in my opinion, with college football anymore. But one of the great things is the debate that it does spark, because it is fun to get on here and talk about stuff. So,
no doubt.
All right, so that's our Final Fours. I'm gonna put our feet to the fire here. Everyone's got to pick a national champion now. Colin, I'll start with you. Who is going to win the national championship this year?
I'm gonna go IU. I think that's the easiest pick. Also, I'm in Indiana. You know what I'm saying? I'm a homer. If IU doesn't win it, though, it's going to be Ohio State. Those are the only two teams that I think have a legit chance. Like I was trying to tell Willie and you, John, the Big Ten is better than the SEC. It's been that way for a couple of years now. We're going to see it again this year. It's going to be IU or Ohio State.
Willie.
Yo.
Who you got?
I think IU is going to be – I think they're going to be in the championship game, honestly, but I believe Georgia's going to win it all. I think Georgia is tough on defense. And offensively, they got a lot of weapons, and I think they're going to hit their stride at the right time. They're going to handle Ole Miss. We'll see about this Miami-Ohio State game, but I think it's going to be a dogfight if Ohio State ends up beating Miami. But if Miami pulls it out against Ohio State, I think Georgia handles them. I think it's going to be a game, but I think Georgia handles them. And then I got IU and Georgia in the championship, and I like Georgia doing it, representing the SEC. SEC, the best conference in the land.
I think it's going to come down to the best matchup in the Final Four, which I believe would be Georgia and Ohio State. I believe would play each other, correct? I think if that's the game, I think whoever wins that is going to win it all. If I had to pick one, I'm going to go with Georgia as well. Colin's not going to like that. I understand that. I think they're slept on. I think they're good, and I think we're going to see it in the long run here. So,
facts.
Let's get to the chat. We got a lot of activity in the chat here tonight, boys.
Oh, I can't wait.
We appreciate everyone. Again, we appreciate everyone. I know we were supposed to have Freddie Gibbs on. He had a little bit of travel issues. We rescheduled him for tomorrow at 2 p.m. So we appreciate everyone still sitting here and kind of just talking with us. We had no plan of what we're going to do. We just kind of hit record and went. So I'm happy we were able to talk a little ball here, and you guys were all able to kind of join along with us. So our friend David over on YouTube. David, Group of 6 has no chance at winning a national title. It would be nice if Group of 6 had their own national title game. This is obviously a complex issue, and Group of 5 fans or Group of 6 all feel different ways about it. I think we all can agree in the current state of college football of the rules that are put in place right now, rightly or wrongly. Unfortunately, yes, I don't think they have a chance to win the national title right now. I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. Now, how they handle a championship game, if there is one ever, would be interesting. I know we kind of talked about this earlier. Are you guys in favor of a Group of 6 national championship game, or do you just say, no, we just want to be included in the big dance? Colin, I'll start with you. I think I kind of know where you're going to go.
I like where David's heart is on this, but no, that's just another way for them to exclude us. Okay, don't let them exclude us. We need to be part of the conversation until they force us out of there. Don't let them just, keep, like lowering our position until we take ourselves out of it. What we need to do, I think, is either like relegation, or we have something where like we have maybe 4 teams, or say we have 6 teams, and then they get to a champion, and then that champion plays maybe in the like actual playoff. Like, I'm not sure how to fix it, but it's not this. It's not this. This is just going to make us another FCS. I can't describe really what would be the solution, but it's not this. Do not let them other us, because that's what this is going to do. Nobody's going to watch the games. Nobody's going to care. They're going to be like, who cares when we're posting about stuff? Don't let them do this.
Mm-hmm. Willie, what about you? Do you think this is a viable thing, or do you think no, I don't want to do this?
I really think it's an option because I don't understand, Colin. Like I don't understand how you could say that Notre Dame would have beat those teams that Tulane and JMU lost to, but like you don't want those teams in the playoffs, but you don't want them to exclude us and make
No,
a
I
whole
do.
new like tournament. You know what I'm saying? Like because they got their ass kicked, you know, but it's like Notre Dame would have, you know, beat both of those teams. But in order for that to happen, you would have to exclude those teams that earn the right to be in the playoffs, right? So
time out.
We got a 30 here. We got 30.
Okay, go ahead.
My allegiance is Ball State, Group of 6, then Notre Dame. I don't care about Notre Dame. If I can get more Group of 6 teams in over Notre Dame, I will. If I can get automatic qualifiers for every single conference, I'll do that.
But are those Group of 6
I want to
teams
see
going to
us
be
in there.
competitive? Like that's what the whole thing is are those teams going to be competitive enough to win in an NIL and transfer portal era? Do those teams compete year in and year out with the Oregons, with the Georgias, with the Ohio States? Do they compete with those guys? Because it's just going to be a revolving thing, right? They're going to get into the dance and they're going to get their ass kicked. Like,
right.
So is that really what we want? And the end,
maybe they're on the other side of the bracket, and then once they work their way through the bracket, then they play like top dog or like one of the final 4 teams or something. Like I don't know how exactly, but like there's got to be a better solution than this.
I honestly don't disagree with what he's trying to say because I mentioned this earlier off the pod. It's like you got these conferences, Big 10, SEC, Big 12, and ACC. Those are the big 4. And then you got all the other conferences, right? And there's probably like another handful, 5 or 6 of them. So it's like if we know that a Sun Belt team cannot compete with the ACC, the top of the ACC schools, it's like, why not make 2 different national championship brackets in their own right, in their respective way, and let them compete for a championship? Because let's just be honest, Tulane is never going to be Ole Miss the way they're stacked. 10 out of 10, I believe Ole Miss wins 9 out of 10 times, maybe 10 out of 10. The way it went on Saturday, like I don't see it, right? So why not put a bracket together where MAC schools, Sun Belt schools, American, Pac-10, like all these teams that are competitive in their own conferences, right? They're the best in their conferences. I watched Boise State whoop on UNLV. They whooped on them in their championship. They played Washington, who isn't even at the top of the Big 10, and Washington skint them alive. Like, so that's where I feel like, Dave is saying here, it's like we want these games to be competitive in their own way. We just don't want to see these guys get blown out and that's it. Like, you want it to always be competitive. So why not make 2 different championships, do 2 different tournaments in their own respective way and crown a champion that way? Because I don't believe nobody would not tune in, because I would get excited if I knew Ball State was in some type of playoff tournament and they were playing, Arizona State or one of these other schools that are kind of in that, or FAU, or all these other teams that in their own right are good, but you would never know that if they played the powerhouse school. So I think it's a good idea. I think it's something we should consider. They should consider and kind of put a plan together and see what that looks like. Because I think if they did give that an option, if they did try that, I think it would be successful, honestly. Because I think schools would be for this because they get more coverage, more media coverage. And 2, I think it would help them in recruiting because now these schools are playing for a championship. It's not like they get into the tournament and then they play Ohio State and you know what's about to happen, right? Versus if they're in the tournament where they're playing a UConn or a Western Michigan who was pretty good this year, right? They have a competitive chance, right? GMU has a competitive chance to get to a championship, right? Because they are that good of a team. Stats wise, they're at the top 10 in the nation. But you would never know that watching the Oregon game, right? So I think it's a good idea to kind of, look into and just see if it works, because I think it would be a lot better for college football, because you're giving a different group of teams an opportunity to win a championship, versus if they're in this playoff tournament. We all know what's going to happen, right? We all knew that was going to be the result of this weekend, but you just want to allow these teams to be competitive in these games, and not just get to the game and then get blew out. Nobody wants to see that, right? And we made that clear on the show today.
Yeah, I think this can all go like a couple different directions. If they're ever going to sack up somebody, I don't know who. That's the problem, I guess.
Yeah.
And fix this transfer portal so that the Ball States of the world aren't just getting completely screwed every year. If they're going to set some sort of a limit amount of time you have to be in places, they're going to only give you one transfer now. If they're going to do all that, then okay, I would be more okay with having their own thing here. But if they're not going to do any of that, then I don't know that any of this really matters, because you can go to bowl games, you can give us a group of 6 tournament, you can do whatever. People are just going to get poached. That's the biggest problem here for all this. So they can do whatever they want. They can put us in this, they can put us in that. If they don't fix that, then whatever they do is not going to work, because no one's going to stay. Why would you stay?
Yeah.
So complex issue that unfortunately does not appear anyone is either going to have a correct answer for, or the intestinal fortitude to stand up and do it. So we're just going to have to deal with it, I guess.
We have to wait and see.
Yep. Put the group conference in small tournament. Okay. Again, yeah, similar thing like we were talking about with David. That is an option, but again, my stance on it is if they don't fix the root of the issues, I don't think any of them are going to work. Now, here's one we can all get together with. Can't wait to see Ball State in the college football playoff. Now, I am with you on this one. OWMC, I'm with you on that one there, buddy. Okay, over on Twitter, Tennessee gets blown out last year. No one's. That's a great point. Great point as well. That does kind of get pushed aside here. Again, you could say whatever you want about Group of 5, SEC, Big Ten, whatever these teams are. My stance when I made the point earlier about potentially only being 8 teams is for this right here. These teams are getting smoked regardless of who's getting in there until you get down to the cream of the crop teams. The Group of 5 and the Power 4, the gap has never been bigger, but the bottom middle of the Power 4 to the top has never been wider as well. The top teams are getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
Okay, Western Michigan played really well, definitely following the footsteps. Yeah, Western Michigan, Toledo, Miami of Ohio, these are teams that I think Ball State is obviously wanting to model their success after in the MAC. All right. Can't wait for Freddie tomorrow. Yep, us too. Again, for those just joining us, if you're just joining us now, we appreciate you jumping on with us. Freddie Gibbs, unfortunately, couldn't make it tonight, but tomorrow at 2 p.m., we're supposed to be live with him again, so be sure to jump back on with us again. Here's an interesting one. MAC team would have to go 12-0 to get in. Now, here is a question I've seen posed someplace, and I want to get your guys' thought on this. Tell me your thoughts on this. If there's no separation, the group of the FBS just stays. 136 teams all stay together. I have seen a thought thrown out there, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on there. So someone I've seen say have no automatic qualifiers at all, but the only automatic qualifier is if you're an FBS team and you go undefeated, you automatically get in the playoff. Thoughts on that?
I like that.
I think that's a good idea. Undefeated automatically in.
Any team. If Ball State goes 12-0, they're in. Just same. Indiana goes 12-0, they're in.
I mean, if Ball State goes undefeated, are they ranked like?
Doesn't matter if you go 12-0.
Doesn't matter. Just
you're in. That's the only. I think they're saying we're going to get rid of the automatic qualifiers. So if you win the SEC, you don't get an automatic spot. If you win the Big Ten, you don't get an automatic spot.
Yeah.
But if you go undefeated, you get one. And the amount of teams that go undefeated are it's fairly uncommon now. Nowadays it feels like we had one this year. We have one so far this year that made it to the playoff undefeated in Indiana.
Right.
I don't think we had any last year.
Mm-mm.
So it's getting tougher. So that's just a thought.
My thing is, I'm just tired. I just don't want subjective stuff. Like, I don't want these group of people who we don't really know, and they all have their own special interest of like they want to see their conference get more people, or they want their school in or whatnot. And like, we don't really know who the people on this committee. Like, maybe we do know who everyone is if I do some research or something, but like we don't know like what their special interest is because it's not like honest. It's like lobbying, really. I'm tired of seeing that. I'm tired of seeing the politics, the like money involved in it. I just want to see like I just want them to have it set out like nothing subjective. Like, okay, this amount of teams make it from the Big Ten. This amount of teams make it from the SEC. If a team goes 12-0, they're in. If Notre Dame is in the top, whatever it is, 15, they're in. If whatever happens, XYZ, that's how it happens. Like, I don't want people in the back room shady, like voting on it because I don't trust them. I don't want to see that anymore, man. I want to see some objective, like, this is who's going to get in based on this. No more voting by these crooks, these slime balls. I'm tired of seeing it. I just want to see them list out these teams will get in it via this way. And then nothing subjective. I don't want anybody voting. I want them to break it down. All these conferences come together, shake up on it, and agree this is how we're going to get the SEC. He's like, I want 7 teams. I want 7 teams in it this year. That's what he said. There's 12 teams total. He wanted 7. These guys get greedier and greedier and greedier. You got to put a stop to it now.
I mean, it's not always about the money. I mean, obviously, bro, like honestly, like tell me what other team would be not from the SEC, what other team besides Notre Dame would be in
BYU.
Over the SEC teams that are in right now?
BYU.
I think BYU, if we're just going off of, how do I put this? Of the teams coming out of conference championship weekend, everyone was going crazy about Notre Dame. They're going crazy about Alabama. They're talking about the group of 5. For whatever reason, it was just agreed upon that BYU they get penalized for losing their conference championship game, which I don't know why that was just agreed upon by everybody, but BYU was in before the conference championship game and they got kicked out.
Meanwhile, Alabama, nothing happened.
Alabama lost to Georgia.
That?
Well, I get that, but I'm just saying
BYU lost to Texas Tech.
I'm just saying
twice.
Yeah,
twice.
Right?
I get that, but I'm saying why are they just out? Because if they just didn't play the conference championship game, like Ole Miss, what if Ole Miss was
like who else did BYU beat?
No, I get that, but I'm saying
that all factors in. Like when we're talking about these guys getting in, like who are they playing? Who is their best win against? And
hold on, time out.
They lose to Texas Tech, which is arguably one of the better teams in the playoffs. But it's like, who else is BYU going to beat right now in the playoffs?
When you say who did they play, these rankings are based off people from like ESPN making all these SEC teams ranked. The rankings are corrupt as it is. So they're saying like, oh, Oklahoma got 5 ranked wins. Okay, that's because they had Auburn ranked 22 when Oklahoma played them. Like,
I can't remember
as it is.
I can't remember the exact. I'm agreeing with you a little bit here because I can't remember the scenario. But toward the end of the year, randomly, they bumped Missouri back in at the end of the year. Like randomly at the end of the year, they had maybe even lost. They lost, put them back in just so I can't remember who it was would have another top 25 win on their resume. I can't remember what the scenario was, but it was something like that.
Missouri beat like nobody. I'm telling you, all these teams, they gang up and they beat Kentucky. They beat Auburn. They beat, like how John was talking about, like the difference between the mid-level Power 4 and top-level Power 4 is as high as it's ever been. For some reason, the rankings and like ESPN and these people that are voting, the AP voters or whatnot, they continue to rank SEC teams high that shouldn't be ranked. And so then these SEC teams say, oh, well, I beat number 22 Auburn, who ends up being 5-7. So like these rankings at the very core are rotten. That's what I'm telling you. It's like SEC
Missouri
gets all this.
If Missouri loses to Georgia and Alabama, like, does that make them a bad team, or did they play really good opponents? Like, even if it's a close game, right? Like, I think that's what the committee's looking at too. It's not just SEC teams and these guys want them to make more money. It's like, it's not even like, that's probably like a fraction of it, but that is not the whole reason. Like, you got to give SEC teams credit, bro. Like, they are playing week in and week out top 25 teams when some schools don't even play ranked teams, and you want them to be in the playoffs. Like, that doesn't make any damn sense, because what other team did BYU play that was at the standard of Texas Tech?
Here's another thing.
Like,
SEC
that's
teams only play 8 conference games.
You have to take that into consideration.
And everybody else plays 9.
Huh?
The second to last week, the SEC had a cakewalk. They're playing like Campbell. They're playing like these ridiculous FCS schools.
All SEC teams play a Division III or a 1AA school. They all play that. They either play the second to the last game or the second game of the year, which is basically a tune-up game, right? They all play that shit. You can go through every SEC schedule. They all have that game on there. And then after that, you see ranked opponent, just missed the top 25. That's consecutive.
But why are they ranked?
Nobody can compete with that. If you put BYU in the SEC, they're getting their ass kicked week in and week out. Period. Those Mormons are not playing with those dudes in the South. Come on, bro. Like, be real. Like, it's not happening, bro. And it won't be, the playoffs won't be as competitive at the end of the day. Like, BYU is going to get ran through. You can't tell me you would have rather BYU be in over Alabama, who just lost to number 3 Georgia.
Yes, I would have rather seen BYU play Oklahoma than see Alabama versus Oklahoma for like the second or third time this year. We already saw it. I'm good. They're both mid. I'm straight. Like, honestly, that's how I feel.
I know. That's your opinion. Okay.
All right. Let's move on here. Okay, let's see here. David, it's okay if the group of 6 still has a top 12 team and getting a Mason. If they expand to more of group of 6, they should be in. 2008 would have been in, yeah. Then we fall. So
absolutely,
there's chances it can happen, but again, the world of college football is definitely different now than it was back then. Unfortunately, in my eyes. Willie.
Yes. 16
NFL touchdowns.
I love it, bro. Double digits, man.
There we go. Here we go. No Big Ten slander. Shout out to these guys at Owen Fouts 2949. And at OWNMC. These guys have been in the chat. They've been going. They're still going. They've been going all night. So we appreciate you guys.
I love it.
David over there as well.
Best conference. Big Ten best conference.
Yeah.
Last 3 years.
Not this year.
Must be rated in the top 12. Okay. If they go to more, must be rated. Yeah. So
I mean, what if they go to 16? You got to be top 16, right?
Yeah, if you go to 16, here's the thing, and I fear that this is going to happen just to appease all group of 6 fans, is I think what's going to end up happening, I'm not saying that this is right, but I think they're going to end up at 16. They're going to keep this automatic bid, and then they're basically just going to tell us all, shut up, pretty much. I think that's what's going to happen. Because if they get to 16, then if you go at 16 this year, theoretically, then Notre Dame gets in, then Vanderbilt gets in.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't know about Texas or Vanderbilt, one of the 2 of them. Maybe all 3 of them.
2 more SEC teams, Colin. 2 more SEC teams.
They'll take them all if they can.
They'll
have it all.
They'll get them all. Okay. Looking forward to Toledo and Louisville. Well, here's a little piece of information for you guys. Me and Mr. Willie Sneed will be at the Bush's Boca Raton Bowl of Beans on Tuesday. We'll be there in the house checking it out. So we'll be sure to check out our social pages. We'll be at the game. Yes, Willie lives a little bit closer to Boca Raton. He lives right down the street. I live not far away, probably about an hour away from Boca, but we're going to meet up at the game and go check it out. I went to the Boca Bowl last year when James Madison was in that, with Bob Chesney and them. And I was actually on the field after the game, because after the game, you can just walk on the field. And I was like 1 person away from holding the trophy last year. So we'll see if I can replicate that this year. Okay, we'll kind of keep going through. I don't care if you're Alabama, no
Yes.
3-loss in. This is going to get spicy.
Yes.
This is going to keep
Yes.
getting spicy.
Yes.
There we go.
I mean, it's like tell me who Alabama's 3 losses were against.
They lost to Florida State, which is
Oklahoma.
bad.
Florida
That was a
Lost
bad
to
one.
Oklahoma, and they lost to Georgia.
And all those teams, or outside of Florida State, were top 10 teams. You know, so it's like you got to take that into consideration. Do I think Alabama? I'll say this, Colin. Do I think Alabama should have got in? No, but I understand why they got in.
Mhm.
I understand it. So
Yeah, and it's
I really thought Notre Dame should have been in over Alabama, if I'm being
Mhm.
honest, because the 2 wins and 3, or the 2 losses and the 3 losses, I think that matter. But I understand why Alabama stayed in, because you look at the losses and even the last loss, it's like, I think somebody said that it's like you can't count conference championship losses against the playoff seeding, right? Because it's like, you know, you're going to be out either way. So it's like, did you earn, like when the season is over, right? And you didn't play another conference championship game, would they have been in? Yes, they would have been in. But the fact that they played the game and they lost, I think that factors in as well, but I really don't know.
Mhm.
But I just want to put that out there for you, Colin, so you don't.
I think this is probably when we're talking about Notre Dame earlier. Notre Dame was robbed.
Yeah.
Depends on the scenario, I think. If you're like Willie just said and you think they should have got in over Alabama, I can see the argument. If you think they should have got in over Miami, you're crazy.
Mm-mm.
Whether you think they're better now or not, I think is irrelevant. They literally
Yeah,
played.
I agree with that.
They played. Purdue got robbed. What do you think about Purdue? Should Purdue have been in? Yeah, there we go. Notre Dame joins the MAC. Now, there's a way. If we go with my 12-0 idea, they come in and go 12-0 every year if they join the MAC.
Right.
Hey, here's my thing too. If Jeff Mitchell watches this, I've been emailing Pete Bavacqua. I left a voicemail for the Notre Dame's athletic director. I told Jeff Mitchell, we need to get Ball State playing at Notre Dame again. Because when I went to that tailgate, dude, it was a lot of Ball State grads that live in South Bend or live in like the, Notre Dame area. The tailgate was packed full of Ball State fans. I've been trying to get a Notre Dame Ball State game to happen so badly, emailing Jeff Mitchell, emailing Pete Bavacqua, leaving voicemails. So I'm working on it, guys. I'm going to get that done.
Well, you know why that it is, right? Because we almost beat them that year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
I don't think Notre Dame wants to play that with that kind of fire again, man. Like, I don't blame them.
You're right.
Yeah.
They don't want this.
They don't want
want
that
this.
problem, dude.
Notre Dame, eye test top 5, but you can't go 10-2, and nobody expects to get in. And then he followed with, if you don't value the game of the year, what's the point of Miami scheduling Notre Dame early in this year? They encourage scheduling cupcakes. Yep, I agree. There was some thought, I know, because they're supposed to play again next year. They pretty much asked Miami before the thing happened, hey, if you get excluded from this because of over Notre Dame, are you going to cancel the game? And I respected what Miami said a lot more than a lot of other teams. Miami said, hell no, we're playing this game no matter what. Texas comes out and says, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't play Ohio State next year. That is the softest stuff of all time.
Scary.
I hate that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Some of these are were probably about what we were talking about at the time, but here we go. Here's one. Iowa's going to beat Vandy. Bookmark this.
Yeah, Willie. Yeah, Willie.
Now, here's my only thing, and I'm not saying that these bowl games don't matter because I love bowl games. You can put as much stock in them as you want as a fan of whatever. For argument's sake, you can do whatever you want. But at the end of the day, I don't know about this game particularly. And if Iowa wins or Vandy wins, with the transfer portal how it is nowadays, it's so crazy that these things are – the bowls are just so weird to even put – I'm trying to figure out the best way to put like an onus on the importance of them, like being like, oh, we beat Vanderbilt or, oh, we beat Iowa. It's like, well, okay, like who's even playing still? Like even Notre Dame, like Notre Dame's not even playing in a bowl game. They just said, hey, you know what? This bowl's not even worth it for us to play in. So, yeah, I mean, I love the bowl games. And if Ball State was in one and we won a game, I would rub it in everybody's face. But at the end of the day, like who is even playing in these? I don't really know. So I can't really say how much stock I'd put into Iowa or Vanderbilt winning this.
They obviously putting stock in it if they got to say it.
Hey, don't throw shade at Purdue.
Oh, come on, bro.
We got
Like,
Purdue guys.
they haven't been
Okay.
good since Drew was there, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, here
man.
we go, Colin. Let's get your responses, guys.
Yeah.
We appreciate everyone watching along with us. This again, our show got kind of derailed here a little bit. Again, out of control of everyone, us and Freddie. He had some travel problems, but he's coming on tomorrow. So we just kind of hit record, and we've been talking for over an hour now. So we appreciate everyone staying along with us. Colin, Purdue or Notre Dame loses men's basketball to Purdue Fort Wayne today.
Crazy.
Any comments on
Garbage. Yeah, so I do have some comments because I was a season ticket holder. I'm a season ticket holder for Notre Dame women's basketball right now. I've been for like the last 2 years, maybe last 3 years. I got floor seats right underneath the basket. Hannah Hidalgo she's her. She's nasty, right? But before I was a season ticket holder for the women's team, I was a season ticket holder for the men's basketball team with Mike Bray. I'm talking Dane Goodwin. I'm talking Trey Wirtz. I'm talking Prentice Hub. I mean, and the second to last year of Notre Dame men's basketball, they made it to the round before the Sweet 16, but they had to play in the first 4 in. So they won 2 tournament games, and I was a big fan of Mike Bray. And then the year after, everything just kind of collapsed, and they agreed to like mutually part ways. They hire Micah Shrewsbury. They pull him from Penn State. Penn State was doing well. Micah Shrewsbury says, you know what? I'm going to come in. I'm going to reinvigorate this program. It hasn't happened. So much so that last year there was a really, really bad loss. And Micah Shrewsbury was like, remember this date. Remember this date because this is the day that everything is going to turn around. Well, that date was February 16th, 2025. And now look, today, Notre Dame just lost to Purdue Fort Wayne. Pete Bavacqua, it's time to get him out of there.
All right, I think that's more Notre Dame men's basketball talk than we need on the show for the next year.
Please keep the basketball, Notre Dame, Purdue out of the chat. Please.
Fair enough.
All right. My guy Owen here. I think he's going right along the lines with me here. Just the bottom of the SEC is better than the bottom of the Big Ten.
I agree.
But the top of the Big Ten is better than the top of the Big Ten. I agree with that.
Yes.
That's what I agree with.
Okay. Who's the top of the Big Ten? IU, Ohio State,
Oregon.
USC.
Oh, now Oregon. Yep. Go ahead.
Well, it just depends on what's the top. What's the top? Like, what are you considering the top? What number of teams?
Top 5.
So probably
so USC is 4. USC has 3 losses, 1 to Notre Dame. They're ranked 16th. And then that's number 4.
Penn State would have been the team. No, not Iowa. Michigan's better than Iowa. But Michigan and Penn State would have been the teams, but obviously they are both lost these coaches. So I think for sure the top 3 of the Big Ten, I would say, is better than the top 3 of the SEC this year. Me personally.
Agreed.
But I think the rest of the SEC is better than the Big Ten. I agree with this guy. We'll let Willie look at what he's looking at.
He's been spitting today, dude. Owen Fouts has been on one day other than the Purdue.
Those are your top, right? Okay. So you said top 5. Okay, top 5. So Georgia, and I'm going to mention the teams that did good this year, and that's just not all the teams in the conference. Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Texas. Okay, those are just the 5 that had a good season. Not mentioning LSU.
Well, you see, now you're getting out. But if you get out of this, I agree with you. But I'm saying I agree with you. If you get outside of the top, I totally agree with you.
But I'm saying LSU can easily be in the top 5. Florida can easily.
You're saying they're deeper
in the top 5. You can't say that about any big, like, y'all gonna stick to top 3 because when y'all went to top 5, it went downhill quickly. Like,
but you're adding LSU and Florida. I could say you could add Penn State and Michigan.
Penn State did not have a good year.
Well, neither did LSU. Neither did LSU and Florida.
Last year they were Final 4. Last year they were Final 4.
Dude, we're not talking about last year. Like, we're talking about
LSU. How can you say LSU and Florida fired their coaches? How good could they have been?
Well, I'm saying, like, they've won championships.
No, I get that. I'm talking about right now.
When's the last time Penn State won a championship?
We're talking about right. I'm talking about right now, and
This year,
you're being sneaky here, Mr. Sneak, because you're pulling me out of my argument. I agree. I think outside of the top of the Big Ten, the SEC is better. I agree with you on that. And you're trying to make me argue against myself.
Your number 4 was Texas A&M. I mean, your number 4 was USC. My number 4 is Texas A&M.
I don't think Texas A&M is that good. I think it's.
Oh my god.
They didn't really beat anybody. Look at their schedule.
Yeah.
Their
Willie, I'm
schedule
gonna agree on Colin on this one. Although Colin is might want to watch what he's saying because they did beat Notre Dame, but the teams that Texas A&M did not beat any good team. Texas A&M did not beat any good teams in the SEC. They lost all of them.
They did.
They really did.
They're beating like Kentucky. They're beating like Auburn. They're beating like these bottom feeder teams.
But they would beat.
That's what the SEC is doing.
They would beat the number 3 team in the Big Ten.
Oregon?
Yes.
No, they wouldn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're moving on. We're moving on.
Yes, bro. They would.
All right. I hope for an.
And Oregon wasn't even a Big Ten team. Y'all just got gifted them. If Oregon wasn't in there.
You got Texas A&M. You got Texas and Oklahoma.
We didn't
need Texas. We didn't need Oklahoma.
Well, that's true.
We didn't need our conference. Like, come
Fair
on.
enough.
Nah.
I don't know how you did that.
You know it, man. You guys
because you're making me argue against myself.
You guys know it. You guys know it.
I agree.
It's okay. It's all right.
All right. I hope for an Ohio State Indiana rematch. I would be all right with that. I think Georgia will be in the title game, but if it's Ohio State and Indiana, I thoroughly enjoyed myself watching the last game, so I'll definitely be in for it.
It was a good game.
All right, now these guys got a little crazy here.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna just go through them real fast, okay?
All right.
So he said, "Bro, ONMC, what are you saying?
Uh-oh.
Are you? I bet you aren't a diehard Cardinals fan." He said, "Hell no, they're my second team." He said, Boilers on top. And he said, chirp, chirp, buddy. So there we go. I think they were feuding for a second and they got back to it.
The wrong pod.
All right, let's see here. We're getting through here. These guys are still kicking. Oh my goodness, these guys are going forever. All right, let me kind of look through this here. Okay. All right, here you go, Willie, smart man.
Appreciate y'all.
It's all about the money. I don't think Notre Dame is going to change now. They have 400 dues. Yeah, I'm not saying that they have to change, but I'm also saying there's not really stopping anybody from just boxing them out if they wanted to. Now, I don't know why that they would really care that much. I think, unless Notre Dame is using all this money and just becoming this superpower, which I'm not saying they're not a good program, but they're not like a superpower. They're not winning the championship every year. They went to the championship last year. But again, except for debate, they've been doing it forever.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why Ball State is the GOAT, or that's why Ball State is the GOAT. So, okay, here. Notre Dame. Yeah, you guys have just been going here forever here. You guys are awesome. I stole somebody's flow. I think it was when I don't know what it was from about if it was called. I think someone had one in here that would call about Notre Dame fans and the SEC hypothetical wins, which they are kind of starting to sound like each other. Okay, so the top seed should be the top seed. Ohio State shouldn't play away from Miami. Okay, yeah. So this is when I was saying teams switching. Yes, I agree that Ohio State would get the choice here, so not playing at Miami, but I don't care. I think it'd be cool. And this guy said the same thing. Said they probably can't switch, but it doesn't need to be fair. No, probably not.
Hey, okay, Owen, make sure you come back tomorrow for the Freddie Gibbs interview at 2 p.m. We need the same energy for Freddie Gibbs
there
tomorrow.
We go. And then we had some people throwing their choices out there. Ohio State, Texas Tech, IU, and Ohio State, the only teams capable. I don't know if I quite agree with that, but I agree with those three. Georgia on fraud watch. I don't know if I agree with that as well. Yes. I think Colin does.
Yes.
Willie,
I'm watching some football.
Willie, you no longer know ball. What happened?
Is this the Purdue guy?
It might be.
Getting paid by ESPN.
That guy is in the wrong chat, bro. Wrong chat. He's just in here trying to troll, man.
I appreciate him. NIU beat Notre Dame last year. Yes. Yep, that's true. It wasn't in the college football playoff, unfortunately, for the group of 5, group of 6 narrative. But yes, that did happen. Let's see.
They still made the playoffs.
Yeah. NIL definitely needs to be fixed. Yep, agree.
Sure.
Florida State would have loved the 12-0 rule. Yep, they would have.
Man,
That's the thing. It's
screwed.
you gotta. It's where are people's heads at? Is it the most deserving teams? Is it the best teams? They're kind of fight over the verbiage sometime because both things happened here. Florida State got screwed out of that spot, but they also kind of proved that they didn't belong because they went and got destroyed because they're missing their quarterback. But if it's the most deserving team, you go 12-0, you should get in. The problem is with the 12-0 thing that they're talking about, the group of 5 would stop scheduling bigger schools.
I don't know that we could. We can't survive without that money.
I think we have to play these guys, good or bad here. So, and we'll kind of finish. Let me kind of look back through here. I say Notre Dame. I could see. I still make fun of my Notre Dame friend for losing to Northern Illinois. I'm sure you probably will be forever.
Right.
We beat them that year too.
Here you go. So we will be here for Freddie. We'll be here. Rap album of the year.
Let's go.
Willie, I'm not trolling. Should be happy to have someone root for Ball State. My only connection is I live in Muncie. There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
That's confusing.
Yeah, there we go. But boys, all right. Well, hey guys, we appreciate everyone in the chat. It's been fun. Again, Freddie Gibbs tomorrow. We should have him on tomorrow, 2:00. So be sure to check that out. We'll be live. So if you want to jump in, throw some questions at him.
Tune in, baby.
If you want to throw some questions in, we'll get them out there. But yeah, we had no plan here. We just kind of hit record, and I like that we got a little feisty at times, and it was fun. So boys, I appreciate you guys talking with us. So if you like what you saw here, and there's people still watching, people still coming in, so we appreciate you guys. Be sure to go over to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, leave comments. We got all the comments from YouTube tonight. And nice. Yeah, it was great. So guys, any last words here before we get off, before we come back on tomorrow? Colin, I'll start with you.
Shout out to Willie. You need a guy that loves the SEC when you're talking to a SEC hater like me. So that's the perfect combination. Freddie Gibbs tomorrow. Woo! Biggest interview we've had yet. Maybe other than Willie. You know what I mean? And it might even be Willie, we love you, but it might even be bigger than Willie. So this is for Ball State, maybe not though. You know what I mean? We're talking about a Ball State GOAT here, but guys, just the point is we're going to keep delivering, keep giving you, the best interviews possible. Going to, a good back and forth between the three of us. I think we got great chemistry. We keep on building it. Stay in the comments. We all love each other. So even if we're fighting, just know it's not serious. We love college football. We all love Ball State first. I don't love Notre Dame. Go Ball State, baby.
All right, Willie, give us one more thing before we get out of here.
I appreciate you guys, man. It was fun. I love the debate. I love debating with you guys. Appreciate everybody that came on tonight. Sorry for the delay. We had to adjust and we kept it moving, but we appreciate everybody that waited and got on and stayed on with us as long as we did. So really cool episode tonight. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow too, because it will be an even better episode, possibly the biggest episode that we had. I'm looking forward to it, man. So you guys tune in. Appreciate you guys, man. Happy holidays.
There we go. Yep. And we'll be back again, like you said, tomorrow, 2 p.m. live with Freddie Gibbs. And we're looking forward to it. So be sure to join us then. So until tomorrow, guys, everyone out there in Cardinal land, thank you for joining us tonight. Chirp, chirp, and go Cardinals.